Welcome to Number Confidence Week. My name is Bobby Seagull. I'm a school maths teacher for more than a decade now, author and TV broadcaster. But most importantly, I'm an ambassador for the charity National Numeracy. And in the driving seat with me today is...
Hello, I'm Susan Okereke. I'm a maths teacher and a communicator. I also do professional development leading for maths teachers, and I blog at Do the Maths Thing, and I also am co-presenter of the Maths Appeal podcast with Bobby Seagull.
Exactly. I was going to say, how do we know each other? Because of our maths, cool maths teachers doing a podcast together. And in fact, one of the things that we've probably discussed during our time in the podcast is about the gender numeracy gap. And this is something that National Numeracy we're really interested in, because it got us really thinking about the way in which we teach women and girls as well. In fact, there's a great stat from National Numeracy, because it says that confidence is the single best predictor of numeracy skills, but that actually women are twice as anxious as men about using maths and numbers, even if they've got a high skill level.
Yeah.
So it's almost a quarter of women, about 24%, who said that maths and numbers made them nervous compared to 12% of men. Susan, we've been teaching for a while now. We've been friends, maths friends and real friends for a while. Is it getting better or...
What's interesting about this statistic for me, having taught for many years now, it's interesting working with society and how the impact of society has on students. So I've worked with many sort of set one kids, and with them, there's a real mixture of boys and girls. It's never really seen to be a difference in ability. Actually, on paper, maths GCSE results, girls outperform boys. So it's this thing that I think it can be implied that maths isn't for girls, but that isn't true in my experience. Actually, maths is for everybody. And I'm saying that because I've worked with students, from low attaining groups to high attaining groups, and it's generally quite mixed. But the big thing about confidence is real. It's that confidence to try and understand that getting things wrong isn't bad. And I do think that socially, and this is kind of controversial, but I think females find it harder to sit with being wrong than males do. And so with that, what's crazy is that, say, girls who perform well at GCSE and, are getting better grades than boys are not choosing to do maths A-level, because there's a big difference. I think it's 37% of A-level maths students are girls. So majority of boys, even though the girls outperform the boys. And it's that idea that I think even if girls think they're good, because they might not be 100%, which is hard to get in maths, they still think that they're not very good, which is, I think, a societal issue, really.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. National Numeracy, they found out that 40% of women said they don't think they're a numbers person, compared to 23% of men. It's almost double the number of women that think they're not a numbers person. And it's such a shame, because we're losing out on so much talent. Because again, at GCSEs, girls now do outperform, we know that, and yet they don't convert at 16, 17, 18 to doing the A-level maths.
And it's attitudinal. I think it's that thing it's an attitude more than the result itself. And I think that is something that societally we have to sort of deal with. I think role models are a really, really important driver of where girls see themselves. I think what's really nice is it is getting better. We're seeing more varieties of mathematicians and people working in STEM. That's great, but it's still quite narrow. And I think it needs to be much better within a school environment where you're getting people in who are working in technology, or who are actual mathematicians who look different, who are diverse. Because I think it is a thing that girls need to see role models to be able to think that they can do certain things. But I think there just needs to be a variety of different spaces, because in the reality of it, working in mathematics, working technology, working in STEM, there is a variety of people. The problem is proportions aren't right. It should be much more mixed.
Yes.
It should be for a better society. I think what's great, STEM is actually, they've got a white paper out at the moment with the view to trying to change curriculum where they're including more diverse people. They're wanting government to change where they include the stories of more diverse scientists, mathematicians, technologists in our national curriculum to support the variety of people being kind of noted, so that young girls, people who identify as girls, can see themselves and then think to kind of improve, go into that field. Because I think a society needs it. We need more diverse people going into STEM industries, because that's where change happens. That's where positive change potentially occurs for our society. But even taking it further, to the higher levels of higher education, or even to A-level maths. This is, the implications of, women not feeling confident with number, or, like with basic numeracy, has huge implications on households, it has huge implications on like how people look after their families. And if you're not confident with basic like numeracy, that means you're not making the right decisions when you're going shopping. That means you're not making the right decisions when it comes to thinking about your wage, or making purchases, or making decisions about your house, because you don't know or feel confident in trying and working through these problems, which could really help you and your family. So that's like a bigger picture issue that kind of needs to be addressed, really.
Yeah, because both of us, we are teachers of mathematics, but the gift that we try to give our students is the skill of numeracy, so that when they leave school, again, you talked about like if you're managing a household budget or thinking about life decisions, numeracy is such a big part of it. And yet again, national numeracy, they've got these other stats as well. And they say that so girls are leaving school lacking number confidence. In fact, the lowest confidence with numbers among those who've just exited the education system. And you think when you've left school, you've just had your exams, you're fine-tuned. But actually, a lot of them, even at that stage, are feeling a lack of number confidence. Whereas roughly about a third of young women, 35%, were aged 18 to 21, who say they aren't confident making financial decisions. And it's such a shame, because they've gone through from the age of 5 till at least 16, probably 18, of some sort of numeracy education, and they're saying they're not confident. So clearly we're letting them down. But do you think, I think it's getting better, like we discussed before. Do you think the way that we teach maths has to change? What would you change in the way we should deliver maths so that actually they have a practical skill when they leave the class?
So this is, I've got, I think we've talked about this a few times, Bobby. Like, I can't really think the maths GCSE, like what everyone has to do, isn't really fit for purpose. And I think what's good is there is discussion about a new curriculum around maths. Everyone has to do it, and everyone should leave school confident and competent in maths. Yes. The issue is the content is that doing that. And that's what I think we need to discuss, because we should be covering things like finances, like personal finance. We should be thinking about making sure everyone is like numerate and able to do the 4 operations confidently, using that in problem solving, using that in applied areas. So I think there is an issue with our curriculum for sure, because we should be kind of getting our students thinking more about the real world and helping them in schools. I think though, before that change occurs, because I'm hoping there's discussion around it, this is something I feel quite passionately about, but even withstanding that, as teachers, our job is to help our students have a positive mindset about their ability, and creating and cultivating spaces in the classroom that are safe for mistakes to occur, safe to try, it's like, or even it's nurtured. You're pushing this idea of trying, even if the result is wrong, because this is where we need to shift, I think, a narrative that's wrong. I think a lot of people still believe that to be good at maths, you have to be quick, you have to get it right first time. And that is rubbish. Like, actually, a lot of the time when it comes to doing maths problems, you might want to take a minute and think about it first and not do anything. You might actually get started and make a mistake and then go, oh, wait a second, I've gone the wrong way. And that is okay. It's also necessary. So I think it's really important for the narrative around maths, and I'm saying this to maths teachers, I'm saying this to teaching assistants, I'm saying this to parents especially, this idea that you have to be, that to be good at maths, you have to be quick and it has to be right first time is rubbish. We need to stop that. Maths is challenging, you will make mistakes, but the beauty is on the other side of it, where you've made the mistakes, you keep going through it, and then you get it right on the other side. Maybe even in a community setting where you're working with other people, and that feeling on the other side is the thing that kind of matters, and collaboration. So, I think for so many young people, especially young women, this idea that learning to be okay with making mistakes is a big thing.
Yeah, and in fact, when you talked about that performance mathematics. In fact, Joe Bowler, an academic in America, has talked about this a lot, because in this version of mathematics, teachers have a method, then students replicate it, often based on speed and accuracy at reproducing these memorized methods. Actually, many people, boys and girls, don't like this method of mathematics. In fact, they hate it. And actually, women and girls in particular hate it even more. So I think it's trying to change maths from being this it's not just about an exam. Obviously, exams are important, but it's about feeling comfortable using the skill in a collaborative, real-life way. Because again, it's also trying to encourage our parents to help them see maths beyond the class. Again, if they're with younger or older children and they're doing some budgeting, or they're out doing shopping, or they're even planning an evening of Netflix, trying to see, we're going to watch a film 1.5 hours. How long will that take us? We need half an hour for dinner, 15 minutes for cleaning. So just the more young people can see maths in the real world. That sort of takes us towards if we're trying to conclude this conversation about the future.
Yeah.
Because obviously we want a future where gender is not a barrier. Currently it is. I think it's getting better, but not quickly enough. What would your future look?
Well, so for me, I do think there needs to be a change in the curriculum. I think it needs to be more inclusive to everyone and also more relevant. I love maths. I love teaching it. I really do. But I also acknowledge the fact that we need to incorporate more functional elements to it for everybody. If 100% of people are going to be, doing this qualification or doing these qualifications at school, they need to be knowing why they're doing it and then leaving with, core skills established and embedded. Because the issue we have is that if they're leaving school feeling worse than they did starting, that's a failure on our system. So I throw that out there as a thing to really kind of discuss. But, I think the change in curriculum is one thing. I also think we need to think of maths as in a more kind of, the fact that it's an emotional subject. We as math teachers should be more kind of quite nurturing to our students about the fact that it is challenging, but that's okay. And really, because I think a lot of the time what they're getting from parents who might have had terrible experiences, they're like, I can't do it. Math is hard. I'm not going to do it anymore. I haven't done it since I was 16. And that's a really big message for students to be getting from their parents. But we in schools need to be counteracting that. And then also parents need to stop saying that.
Yes.
I think we need to be changing the narrative around it. Maths is for everybody. Everyone can get better at it. You don't just stop doing it when you're 16. That isn't the thing. You do it when you're in the real world, when you're working. And we need to be nurturing a more positive attitude around it.
Yeah, and I think you're right about that maths anxiety. We know it's real. We know we've seen it with our students. And one of the anecdotes I like is that neuroscientists have shown that actually people with maths anxiety, when they see numbers, a fear center in their brain lights up. And that's the same fear center that lights up when we might see snakes or spiders. So it exists. And our job as educators, as teachers, as parents, teaching assistants, is to try and overcome that by making sure that maths is an inclusive, collaborative subject for boys and for girls. So again, one thing that we always say together is that maths is for everyone. And again, that's why we're really happy to have this conversation during Number Conference Week. And to be honest, every single week for us is Number Week. But again, I feel like change is happening, but just let's speed things up.
Yeah, the key thing I want people to walk away from here is thinking that there isn't a difference between boys and girls with regards to ability. That isn't a thing. Actually, if you think about it, girls performing better than boys at GCSE, there should be more girls doing A-level maths. That's what should, in theory, be happening. So it's more, but it's more just thinking it's not a gendered subject. It is for everyone. We need to encourage boys to feel confident and maintain the confidence, but we also need to be kind of lifting girls up. And that might be, as teachers, you're asking girls to participate, you're encouraging them to speak out, you're maybe giving them a bit of a nudge. I'm going to ask you to answer this question. And it doesn't matter if it's wrong. Someone makes a mistake and you celebrate it. That's a fantastic mistake. Thank you. That's a misconception that everyone needs to know about. So it's trying to just change the narrative from you're either good or you're bad. 100% is the best. There's so much in between. It's much more nuanced. And I think that will hopefully shift this attitude that maths is exclusive. Because our aim, I guess, is for it to be inclusive, but not just individuals, but for society, for our economy. We want more people to be numerate. because it benefits all of us, you know?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great way to end. Numeracy for all. If it benefits one person, it benefits all society. So thank you for your time, Susan.
It's been a pleasure.
And happy Number Conference Week.
Happy Number Confidence Week, people.